So our major problem in this country is caused by oil.
It's one of it. It's one of the major issues. I'm coming to talk to you to tell you that whosoever comes to Nigeria without the knowledge of where we were, where we are, and the plans against us to come, starting from this 2023, then definitely we are in for a bigger problems. This is a fundamental issue I'm talking about. Now, Shagari left
after commissioning the
Now, 1979 to 1983. That was Shagari. Okay, sorry. That was Shagari that Shagari began to have difficulties. Sorry, because I got one aspect out. Shagari's difficulties started in calling his government of corruption, squandermania, if you remember.
Yes.
How literature were being sent around, how they were now forced to be importing rice, let Umar Diko and the rest. All these were now put as blames against the government of Shagari. But the offense they committed was the commissioning of the 3 refineries. Then the media were deliberately funded, many consciously and unconsciously, began to now attack and condemn the government. And then also alongside these 3 elders I talked about, led Adisa Akiloe, Chairman MPN, led Paawolo, and led Adeniro Nogonsanya, insist on advising Shagari on taking some economic measures to help the country. 1981, I think, or 1982, there was something called Justice Irikife Commission. That gave birth eventually to his removal. There was coup. One may ask, who did the coup? Whose initiation? How did it happen? General Buhari was in power. Soon after he came to power, General Buhari on arrival also committed the first offense. Refusal to devalue Naira. Refusal to devalue Naira, which was a prerequisite from the foreign unseen hands. Buhari was short-lived. 1985, he left.
Because as at that time, Naira and dollar were not mates.
Were not. Naira was stronger
than dollar.
And Naira was being spent in all OPEC countries, including the unseen hands, all these countries. Naira was acceptable, and they were using it direct in their banks.
So continuous.
So the plan to retard Nigeria, alongside this build-up that I'm giving you, as at 1972, when they discovered it was not only oil, but there was also gas in abundance, then they said, whatever it will take, Nigeria must never grow. And at whatever level and whosoever is involved, they will keep Nigeria where it is and never ever to move forward. Lately, I learned after I spoke some 3 years ago in this way concerning the game of keeping Nigeria retarded. Some professors went into some researches and I learned they discovered quite a lot more. I didn't give insight, but we are holding on to data because we believe it is this information that will guide this country. Now, General Buhari left. Now, in 1985, 1993, General Babangida was in power. When he came to power, he met a lot of challenges. IMF, World Bank, and then these unseen hands came up with their own formulas to withstand the government of the day to do their biddings. General Babangida had a lot of problems. To be able to wiggle out, there was SAP. People protested. It began to affect the economy of this country. But at the end of the day, Babangida now began to do a lot more insight on projects like People's Bank, like so many welfare schemes, so many loans. And then at the end of the day, that couldn't work. He too had to leave in 1993. But at the end of the day, Nigeria had already been affected. The international dirty oil politics had gotten stronger. The number of types of bunkering in Nigeria had increased up to 7 as at 1993 that I knew of. There were 7. There are international people like the case that was brought by channels lately. I can see ignorance playing a role. The question is, that point where they saw a point that illegal oil was being taken some 5 kilometers into the sea, there are registered ships coming to take forward on behalf of some of the foreign unseen hands for themselves. So they are making billions. Nigeria is busy borrowing. People can't eat. And yet we are one of the richest, and so the oil is nothing but a cost.
And those ships were unregistered ships.
Yes, or registered. They don't come with number, they take, and there is an arrangement. From so-so period to so-so period, you see not. And it goes to the international waters. Numerous naval officers lost their jobs, lost their career out of love and protecting Nigeria's resources before. So when this particular one came to the fore, I will give you an instance, even though I will do it at the end of the day. You remember it was soon after that was discovered. Then there was a signal and an alert that there was plan to attack Nigeria, and Boko Haram was coming to the center. So why did that information didn't follow regular reportage? Why the confidentiality? In every foreign affairs, there is a certain security body, as it is the practice around the whole world. Embassies should report to the foreign affairs. That security outfit should investigate in collaboration with the domestic. Now you went to radio, you went to television, you brought friction. You now brought scare against Nigeria and Nigeria's investors. You remember? Lately,
yes,
it was just simply because of that. And ignorantly, it was channels out of patriotism. Some of their reporters say, this is our country. There is pilferage. There's this. That is an excellent job. But the reporter that did that and the journalist that did that
was ignorant.
Ignorant because they do not know the higher, dirty dimension of the game. That's why some of us, when it was happening, we laughed. But some of the security chiefs in this country, some of us spoke to them.
It might interest you to know that some journalists in Nigeria are not patriotic.
No, some are, some are, some are not.
Some are not. Some do not even believe in this country.
I know.
Some are working against the progress of this country.
That I know.
Some are in the payroll of some of the people destroying this country.
That is a fact.
And they will never report anything positive about Nigeria.
I will come to that.
Thank you. Continue.
I will come to that. Now, Babangida left. General Abacha came to power. When General Abacha came to power, numerous things happened. First of all, he was also confronted by IMF, World Bank, and some of these instances on the same issue that led to the failure of General Buhari when he was military head of state, currency devaluation. General Abacha now fought to say, instead of that, we shall establish economic council that is strong and big enough, and we will comply based on practicality. Naira was tagged, everybody knew, to 82 in black market, 22 in official rate. That was the first time Abacha shot himself on the foot. The second, Abacha now didn't stop there. He said, there are opportunities open for us to create LNG for Nigeria and for Africa. A source, correct, a source for us to fall back to as a rich country that is blessed. Abacha shot himself, number 3. Second, Abacha had an option to allow all the refineries to die. So there will be importing oil. Abacha refused. It was in this process, I will tell you something here, that is my own experience. One of the GMDs ran to me in the night and said, and I quote, my life is in danger. The memo was submitted.
GMD of NNPC.
GMD of one of, no, MD of one of the refineries. He came to me, he later became GMD. He talked to. He said I should save him. What? He said there are some certain forces from the Ministry of Petroleum and NNPC itself that have submitted memo to the president. He said everything in that memo, all the hundreds of millions of dollars are lies. How? He now come to tell me. He said, don't you see, go take the memos and take a look at them. We opened the office of the president late in the night. I brought out all these memos and we went through. We took dictionaries and get any type of dictionary in the world. These spare parts, they said, to be able to achieve turnaround maintenance. Look at this word. I saw a word I cannot pronounce. But the amount of money per unit, per hundreds of units required to be able to do turnaround maintenance was scary. He said, pronounce this name. We said, okay, let's look for it in dictionary. Anything. Okay, let's look at petrochemical dictionary. Began to resort to call people no meaning.
Fabricated words.
They fabricate what they do. If, for example, television, the word television is in dictionary. Before the word T, they will add some figures and some name and some letters. In between television, they will add some more. At the end, they will add some more. How do you pronounce it? That is the way it is. Now you see allocated to that. Say per unit, for example, $50,000 times 3,000. In the meantime, is nothing. It's just a game. So at the end of the day, you see, to be able to do turnaround maintenance, the colossal amount of money is too huge. And
it's even enough to build fresh refineries.
Even medium refineries at the end of the day. And then the moment you do turnaround maintenance, you will be settled with the word sabotage. Is no longer functioning. Brain box, brain this. At the end of the day, so presidents over presidents and presidents, they have not spoken. But I know numerous presidents of Nigeria have had these colossal problems. It was a game. Just for you not to produce. You have oil, you can't manage. It's stage managed. Nigerians are used as agents, and then they retarded Nigeria. In every inch, they were making money. These were type of games. This happened with me. Now, another thing was the issue of Vision 2010. After Abacha left, was halted. It couldn't go. PTF was halted. It couldn't go. The issue of plan for dredging were halted. These were to make Nigeria great. Abacha was now abused, called names, they terminated him. Up to now, they are abusing him. So, but to dig deep into the real tenure of the history of the government is today an offense. Many newspaper houses will not accept. Many journalists will not accept. They have already the old literature in their minds formed, and this is the way it was. Now, 1999 to 2007, Jonathan came to power. 1999, there was a government. But rather than allowing the turnaround maintenance, now democracy, this democracy we are talking about, rather than building more refineries, even if they are medium, something devilish was introduced. It is called subsidy. The same thing Tafawa Balewa rejected and Dick. The same thing Murtala rejected. The same thing Gawan rejected that gave birth to their exits now was reintroduced in a bigger manner, in the dirtiest manner. At this time, some new additional types of bunkering were introduced in Nigeria, which is the type Channel newspaper just discovered oil theft lately. It's an old thing. There are too many in thousands and thousands in your onshore, offshore locations where you have your riches. Nigerians are far away from knowing this. So that came to the fore. The subsidy continued till this moment. And then refineries were stopped from working. But importation was the order. Now this continued until President Jonathan came. President Jonathan came and Okonjo-Iweala took it upon herself, knowing the colossal of money being spent as Minister of Finance, out of patriotism, out of love of Nigeria, knowing the resources we have. She stood her ground. What happened to her? Her parents harassed, her mother kidnapped. She had to keep quiet. Subsidy had to continue. All the rallies we have had on subsidy, the elites involved are taking money to get it promoted. And nobody could stop it. The government of the day, President Buhari, in one of his promises, campaign promises to Nigerians, is what? Stop subsidy. He said so. And then the major question he asked in one of his campaigns is, who is subsidizing who? When we get there, we'll sort it out. He has been here 7 years plus, subsidy is getting stronger. The question is whose investment is the subsidy? Who is killing the refineries? You are now discovering more oil in Northeast. What is to come? There are already investments going on another type first of bunkering. Another type, bunkering on land, away and far away from sea. We are going to see something unless we have a leadership that care for Nigeria, that will carry Nigerians along, that will get Nigerians educated, that will create a barrier from this monster and the managers of the monster at home and outside. We are in for a very big problems. And so the tiny little peanuts they are being given, many of our elders, many of those who are opportunistic, they found themselves in places, whether as civil servants or as politicians, are the problems of this country, not the majority poor who don't even know what is going on. Another, this is as at today. Now, the question I'm talking about, this is concerning oil only. Oil that we have and Northeast in Nigeria. Northeast, to start with, designed by God Almighty, is the richest part of Africa. Nobody, no part of Africa is as rich as Northeastern Nigeria. Anything on Eastern Nigeria is rich. Southeast, the amount of stones, the amount of oil and gas, coal and gold are enormous. People don't know. You see in Southeast, even this red sand, you see that in the ancient day, when people get married, they take the red sand and adorn their huts. It's gold.
Gold?
Yes. Chinese are taking it today in hundreds of thousands of containers. They are taking it to the sea. You don't have the machine to refine it. But for how long have they been doing that? And at any time you ask, they say, no, we are taking your son to prepare fertilizer for you. And then immigration, custom, and police every day. That's why custom, if they are to talk to at the departure point, in all our seaports, Port Harcourt, Calabar, Warri, Tinkan Island, Apapa Port, ask custom. All these things they are taking out, what excuses were they given? If these things are real, they are going making fertilizer for Nigeria's usage. How much are they paying you to take it out?
What stops us from producing our own fertilizer in Nigeria?
I'm coming to talk to you on even fertilizer and the game being played against us.